Continue on our davisan election series. Today we'll be focusing on this half of the states. Yes, last episode we legit only focused on 6 states, which actually is quite hilarious. Yeah. The first state we'll be focusing on is Contra. Not the video game, the state as well. Also, this older map of the country is a bit more outdated as well here. But Contra is a very interesting. Contra is one of the most religious states in the entire country of Davis, with the state being more than 95% religious as well. However, the state still has a Democrat lead. That is because the Nationalist Party is still having kind of trouble getting, Protestants to come out to vote as well. Yeah, Protestants are mostly found in central Davis at this current point, as Davis is becoming more a Catholic country. During the 1950s, Davis was a far more Protestant country as well. And with the rise of Protestantism, Catholicism, especially in the Bible Belt of Davis, you can definitely see. But even states like Contra, Catholicism is still increasing in the state as well. The state had relatively okay turnout. However, there is a big, massive red flag going on in the state. It is not religion, it is the urban areas. These urban areas are shifting rapidly leftward and converging with its neighbor states as well here. Despite these urban areas still being mostly ethnically Davisian, not having much immigration as well, it seems that many liberals have moved to these counties from these states, these surrounding states, and also out of Davis and Davis capital as well, and this is turning the state blue as well. No amount of people in these rural counties are gonna turn the state back to a green state, which is gonna be a pretty big problem as well here. I know the polling for the 2026 election says otherwise, but as well. Also, we got to see how these two states were trending as well. This state, I think, is trending blue because these areas have a lot of room to grow for the Democrats. This state is trending green slightly, as even like the major metropolitan area has been trending green as well. So the conservatives, they might have another safe conservative state as well, which means these states will no longer kind of vote together anymore. And even saw that in the Senate elections as well. But this is a state that I think is going to be very worrying for the Nationalist Party as well, as this used to be a safe state for conservatives in the past. Besides like the 80s and 90s when the Democrats just dominated the country, the 2000s started, the state flipped, and it was considered a swing state as well, and the state was finally trending towards but however, this state has always been, close. And actually, if look at it, the state actually always voted this way as well. Voted alongside as well. So there really is two parts of Contra, the rural and urban portions of the state. The urban portion of the state always dictates the election. However, the one thing that's going for the Nationalist Party is they outgain in voter registrations. We're now 4,000 away from actually taking the voter registrations as well. Then we have these two states over, and of course the trends as well. It seems that currently the state is trending back to how it used to vote, which could be a big alarm bell as well here with the state as well. And of course we have the two most Democrat-friendly states in the country. These states have no introduction, that's Kadali and Basari. These two states are the two most left-trending states in the country as well. Both states trended leftward by an insurmountable amount of points as well here. And it's very unlikely either state will flip to the Nationalist Party anytime soon. Almost every county in Basiri trended leftward, and almost every county in the state shifted leftward as well. And these states, you know, have usually voted blue as well because of the metropolitan area. But even like the wolves are trending blue as well. But I think that was mostly because they were maxed out in these areas, because these areas got the state actually a bit closer, but now the state is trending back as well. Then we also have the next state on our list, and that is Timber. So Timber is a rapidly trending state as well. Is this state right here, and it's rapidly trending as well. Kind of like Curry, this state is not actually very religious as well. It's mostly like a suburban state. It is basically the ex-urban state of this central area in the country as well here. 69% of them voted. And yeah, these states have voter registration too, these two states here. However, Democrats are actually gaining in both states as well. Yeah, the state is Protestant as well, and the state voted 8.9 for the conservatives. However, the state is not that religious, which might actually hold back the state's potential in the future, as it is a exurb of these states in the center as well. Here. However, we all got, and also, yeah, the church-going percentage of these states is 38%, 63%, and yeah, these states have very, very low church attending percentages as well. Yeah. And Contra really should be a safe state, but it's so urban that the state basically is not gonna flip. Is likely gonna stay a tilt state or a swing state as well. Yeah. But then we have this part of Davis. So we have these swing states: Monaca, Maple Tree, Cowsonic, Torraz, Ice, Newt, and the Davis Central area. Yeah. These are basically the swing states. These are the Pennsylvanias, the Michigans, the Wisconsins, okay, the Arizona, North Carolina, Georgias, and Nevada. These 5 states, actually 6 states, are the true swing states of Davis as well. First 2 states we're going to discuss is the 2 most liberal states in the entire country besides Katas. And that is Davis, Capital Region, and Outer Davis. The Nationalists have never won Outer Davis, nor did the Conservatives. And very much like DC, it is very unlikely these states will vote, conservative ever. The Outer Davis has a 1.4 million voter registration advantage, as though independents do lean more nationalist than the Democrat margin, but they are still at least 50 to 60% Democrat as well, which causes these insane margins in the state as well here. And it has around 4 million registered voters. The other 3 states that have registered voters is Monaco, which basically is within the margin of error, and Maple Tree, which is number 1 here, and has around 268,000 Democrat voters, the nationalist voters, and of course, ICE is the only other state with voter registration in with a 100,000 voter advantage here. Okay, these states are the most difficult to explain because these are mostly. We'll explain it through the actual, because we could look at this map as well here. This is the by population as well here. The giant blue spots which is why this entire area is so close. Okay, you're like, oh, but most of the counties are conservative. Okay, most of these counties. Okay, we went too far back. Most of the counties vote conservative, but however, these are mostly by smaller margins as well, because the state is far less religious as well here. And these states, even like the very popular, even like Maple Tree, yes, Maple Tree has 2 counties where they win by 30%, but those are the 2 most rural counties in the entire state, and most of the rural portions live here and here. These states have very little rural portions. I think the one of the most rural is ice, so the northern portion of the state, and the southern portion of the state being mostly rural as well here. Calisonic is mostly the southern portion of the state, and the northeast part of this northeast part of the state is very rural as well here. And these states have, I think, are going to become the eternal swing states. Okay, they're going to swing back and forth to the Democrat and Nationalist Party, the whoever is more popular. So if the Democrats gain popularity and they win 2026, don't be too surprised if they win all four of these states as well here. And they could even win these two states, and these states would decide the election. Okay, as well. Yeah, because these states have half the population of the country. Okay, winning this portion of the country is the most essential part of the as yeah. So yeah, we covered almost every state. This is literally half of the country right here. Lives in these 8 states as well. And the capital region is 1/5 of the country's population as well. Okay, this is a huge deal. Okay, here. Yes, the Democrats only have 2 counties as well, but the Nationals only win by 1.7 because these counties are not that close, and these urban areas are D plus 50 and D plus 40. This is basically kind of like with Republicans barely winning Illinois. Okay, they would have to get Chicago down to D plus 30 to win the state, and this state is, say for this state, they say it's plus 5 though, but you can see the same story here. Yeah, the state is trending towards the right word. Maple Tree is the one that's trending the most right, as well as even like the voter registrations is trending rightward. However, the suburbs and the most populated counties still are liberal as well here. The three most populated, the most populated counties in the state compared to the rest of the country. Same thing with Calisonic. These three counties are around 47% of the state's population, which is why the state is still so close. And the same thing with Torres. These areas are super liberal. Okay, they are plus 10 in all these super urban counties, and these counties are also still very, very close as well. Okay, and then we have the most controversial state of them all. Okay, here. Yeah. So we covered the voter turnout is actually just average as well here. We already talked about that. The states are mostly extremely Protestant as well. Some of the most Protestant states in the entire country as well. It's ironic that in Davis, the most liberal states are usually Protestant states as well. However, these margins are not that high because they are swing states. So basically, they're also rating them very similar to PA as well here. Yeah. And also, these states are not very religious at all. They're mostly 50 to 60% Christian, and half of Christians in these states go to church, daily. So, yeah. Unlike with most of the Bible Belt states, which are still extremely religious compared to the rest of the country, these states are basically the urban degenerate states that, most younger people want to move to as well. These states have also received the highest amount of immigration per any state, which even includes Monaco, but Monaco didn't really get much immigration. But these states will have the highest immigration states besides, other urban metropolitan areas, which we'll get to later as well. And these states are basically, especially the urban centers, have basically become culturalist economic zones, which is why people in many of these rural states, despite them not being as religious as most states are, that's why people in the rural counties, they want to basically reverse the, massive immigration, legal and illegal, into Davis as well here. Also the economy as well, and other issues as well. And of course, we have this state, Monaco. This is a state that used to be one of the most conservative states in the country as well here. But the state has some trend. So back in the 2000s, this state used to be super religious as well. And it used to be the most religious of all the urban states. Now it is on par with state with these states here and this state here. However, Christianity is the very fastly declining in Monaco. It is actually the fastest declining Christian pop percentage in the 2020s. Most of the Bible Belt states have kind of just stabilized as well here. Southern Davis is kind of stable. Northern Davis is kind of stabilized. The Panhandle. But Monaco is the fastest declining Christian state in the country as well. Here. So 2000, the state used to be Christian. The state went down to only 76% Christian in 2020. However, current estimates put the state around 32% Christian in 2025. Down from 76% and 88% as well here. Here. Meanwhile, a state, for example, like Borty, only acquired 1% Christianity in this half, though it basically stayed the same. Even places like Calsonic actually only acquired 2% as well. This is a pretty big problem for the state, as the state actually kind of retained a lot of its Christian identity compared to many of these states, but the state is moving, it's because this state is becoming a part of this metropolitan area here. There was a huge population shift of of Monaco, okay, as well. So during the 1990s and 80s, and even as well, the center point of Monaco's population was here, okay. This is kind of the Rust Belt area, as it was the industrial zone of the state as well here. Now the gravity of population has centered more around here. The population center. Population used to be like this as well here. However, most of these people have moved, especially young people, Gen Z and millennial, are continuing to move away from these areas, and a lot of these areas have experienced massive population declines in many of these counties. The most severe being this county losing 1/3 of its population as well. And here compared to the 90s as well. Here. However, most of these areas, including immigration from other states as well, which also drove in the factors as well. Here. Also, rural counties also continue to decline because of lower birth rates as well, and people moving to the city as well. Here. And most of the conservative areas have kind of declined. Okay. Actually, not really up here. They have increased a little bit. And most of these areas had small but unnoticeable population growth, but this entire area had a massive decline in population. Here. And even this area is shifting towards, liberals as well. Okay. This is not a conservative. This is becoming not a conservative state anymore, as well. You can even see this with the margins as well. This state only was won by conservatives +5. Okay, when they won it in 2016, mostly because these people, and of course, the more elderly people are unfortunately dying in these areas because they're not moving. However, even young. This is the one state. Well, young people, however, the state does have a bright future. Younger people in Davis, and this applies to especially these states here, are hugely conservative in these states, okay? They are more conservative than the actual states themselves, okay? However, Monaco is only 2% higher. as well. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And we can go look at every state here. Here. And Monaco is trending blue. Okay. The state had a high voter turnout, and the state has for the first time ever, Democrats have an actual voter lead in the state. The Nationals have actually gained slightly back, but you can definitely see even in 2024, these counties still had a decent turnout. But the population has shifted southward as well as I know the president of Davis is trying to reverse the decline as well, but the Democrats are now starting to win and do way better in the state. And even like the polls are saying that the nationalists might actually lose Monaco in the future. And so the state is becoming less religious as well here, and the state is becoming less conservative as well. Okay. And also it's becoming way less rural too. It's becoming way more urbanized and will most likely will become a swing state most similar to its neighbors down south. And now let's talk about the most remote and desolate part of Davis in the next episode. Northern Davis as well. And yeah, for Davis and Nationalists, this video was kind of a black pill because if you look at the trends, there are many trends that Davisian nationalists do not like. Okay, as well. Yeah. Okay. And if these trends continue, this will be very, very, very bad for the Davisian nationalists going forward. Goodbye.